The forgotten World War II boot hack that quietly saved thousands of soldiers' feet. There's a moment every serious history buff knows, the part where the big stories fade and the smaller details suddenly reveal themselves as battlefield gold. That's exactly where we're starting today. When you look at long-distance marching in World War II, you're not looking at weekend hikers strolling through the woods. You're looking at men grinding through 20 miles of unpredictable terrain with gear digging into their shoulders and leather boots that didn't forgive a single mistake. And the wild part is this. One of the biggest factors separating a ready-to-fight unit from a broken, blistered mess came down to something almost no one talks about today. A lacing method. A quiet, unglamorous boot hack that saved skin, tendons and morale. It wasn't stylish. It wasn't decorative. It was battlefield biomechanics before we even had a word for it. This episode is for the hardcore learners, the people who want the hidden mechanics behind history's survival techniques. So let's get into the forgotten lacing method that turned leather boots into marching machines. The old way of lacing caused more damage than the terrain itself. One of the biggest misconceptions about World War II infantry life is that foot injuries came from sheer distance, not even close. Medical records from American and British forces made something painfully clear. Constant micro-trauma caused by bad boot mechanics wore soldiers down faster than the march itself. The standard mistake was simple. Tightening the laces from toe to top in one uniform yank. It trapped the foot, strained the top tendons, squeezed the metatarsals, and let the heel rise and fall with every step like a piston wearing down the skin. That's how blisters formed. That's how arches collapsed. That's how morale disappeared. But soldiers on the ground weren't stupid. They learned something modern hikers still overlook. Tension zoning let the boot work with the foot instead of against it. This method, known among units as tension zoning, divided the boot into 3 distinct pressure areas: toe box, midfoot and ankle. Each one had its own job. Each one had its own level of tightness. And when applied correctly, it gave a stiff leather boot the same adaptability modern footwear tries to engineer with gels, foams, and high-tech fabrics. The toe box stayed moderately snug, never tight. Its only job was stopping the foot from sliding forward, especially during downhill marching. Soldiers knew compressing the front of the foot was a recipe for nerve pain and numb toes, so they eased the pressure there. The midfoot, on the other hand, was the anchor. This zone locked the arch, stabilized the gait, and prevented the foot from rolling inside the boot. This was where soldiers applied real tension. Firm, deliberate, controlled. Then came the ankle zone. This was counterintuitive for a lot of new recruits. Instead of tightening it aggressively, seasoned marchers actually loosened it slightly. That little bit of flex kept the ankle mobile, prevented tendon strain, and allowed the natural rolling motion of long-distance marching. The boot held the leg upright without caging it. What you get with this system is a boot that moves like an extension of your foot instead of a clamp around it. And you can test this immediately. Here's how to apply it right now in the field. Start lacing normally until you reach the first set of hooks. Stop. Give the laces just enough pull to seat the boot around the toes. Don't overdo it. Then work your way into the midfoot. This is where you tighten with purpose. If your boot has hooks, loop them twice here, creating a lock-off loop that keeps the tension exactly where you want it. Once you reach the ankle hooks, back off a notch. Let the joint breathe. When you stand and take a step, your heel should stay planted, your forefoot should stay centered, and your ankle should move without feeling trapped. This is the same method reconnaissance troops and mountain infantry used while crossing the Alps, the Apennines, the Balkans, places where a bad step wasn't an inconvenience, it was life and death. Swelling was the hidden enemy, and this technique defeated it. A foot under continuous load swells, sometimes up to 8% in volume. That's not a guess. That's straight from wartime medical reports. Leather doesn't stretch that fast. When soldiers laced uniformly tight, the swelling had nowhere to go. Pressure built up. Skin layers separated. Blisters formed like clockwork. Tension zoning solved this beautifully. It let the swelling distribute itself in the toe and ankle zones while holding structure where the foot needed it most. That alone saved countless soldiers from losing marching capability. You can test this on your next long trek. After the first mile, pause. Don't unlace everything, just loosen the toe box slightly and adjust the ankle tension. That's exactly what soldiers did. And you know, the relief is instant. Less burning, less pressure, less rubbing. It's battlefield efficiency applied to modern survival. Wet boots made marching brutal. But tension zoning kept soldiers moving. During World War II, infantry in Italy and the Pacific regularly dealt with waterlogged boots. Wet leather, you know, becomes heavy and uncooperative. The first instinct is to tighten harder, just trying to compensate. But soldiers learned that made everything worse. Instead, they relied even more on tension zoning, firm midfoot, gentle toe, flexible ankle. That pattern kept their gait stable, even when their boots were soaked and sagging. If you're a prepper, trekker or hunter with experience in wet terrain, this trick alone will change the way you move after rain or river crossings. Modern hikers still make the same mistakes soldiers fixed 80 years ago. People lace boots like sneakers. Equal tension everywhere. Sneakers can handle it. They're flexible, forgiving. Stiff tactical or mountaineering boots? Not a chance. They behave much closer to World War II footwear. And yet hikers keep using the wrong method, paying for it with fatigue and blisters. If you use stiff boots, whether for bug-out practice, hiking or work, this forgotten wartime strategy will add miles to your endurance. This old-school military trick still earns its place in modern survival. Try tension zoning on your next real march. Not a casual stroll, an honest walk with weight. You'll feel the difference before the first mile marker. You'll understand why soldiers swore by it. And you'll see how this tiny detail, forged in the harshest conditions imaginable, still outperforms modern habits. If this kind of battlefield wisdom gets your gears turning, make sure you subscribe, share this episode with a fellow history enthusiast, and help keep HistoryHQ growing strong.